these are the exercises that really changed my ankle strength like almost forever, and also the performance in mixed martial arts and running and everything else. Because if you look at like Athlete 20XX, like the phase 2, it already has very good ankle strengthening, like all these single leg exercises where you are balancing on one leg. It's already like very good ankle stabilization. And also the phase 3, like the explosive exercises where you're jumping a lot, it's also amazing strengthening for the ankles. But what was actually missing from my training, and what I see is missing from almost everyone else's training, is that you are not really strengthening the ankle to the maximum capacity when you are on your toes, such as this. Of course, many exercises develop this ability, and Athlete 20XX does as well. But there's like a big difference between good toe and ankle mobility and strength compared to like the maximal, like the high level ankle strength. And that's what I was missing. Like almost every strength program or strength exercise or almost anything else you do, you can achieve the good level, but what we are trying to achieve here is that how you can really reach the highest level. To go back to the strengthening exercises, that like I said before, like phase 3, the explosive exercises, they are already very good for strengthening the ankles. But for many people like me, if you have lots of weaknesses in the area, the gap between the explosive exercise and your level can be too high. So the jumps and the plyometrics doesn't even feel comfortable, and you are not getting the best results from these exercises because your ankle is just not strong enough to even do those high level ankle strength exercises properly. And I was in this bucket myself. So what helped me a lot was that doing like isometrics for the ankles, and especially for the positions where I'm on my toes. For example, you can start doing the isometrics just standing on your toes like this. Like this is the very beginning. On your two legs, just hold this for like 30 seconds to 1 minute for, let's say, 3 sets. And the next step from here, which is more important actually, is to just lower yourself to this position and just hold this for 30 seconds to 60 minutes, to 60 seconds. And this is already very good. But where it gets very effective is when you turn it into single leg exercise, and you just start by doing this. Just holding this for, let's say, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. And then the next step from here is, of course, to lower yourself to like the 90-degree angle and do the same, 30 seconds to 60 seconds. Like this will build the very basic and foundational necessary strength in the calf, in the ankle, but also in the whole feet. Like your feet will get stronger as well, because there's like lots of force between here, like pressing down. The third step from here is, of course, do it freestanding. So it's like has the element of stability and balance. And then like you're like here with 2 feet, you're like here with 2 legs. And then, of course, you do it like this. And this is where it gets difficult. But this is also very effective. And you can take like a little bit balance here. And then lower yourself down. And do it like this. Just hold it for 30 to 60 seconds. And this is especially important for people who don't feel super comfortable with the explosive exercises yet. So you do this first for maybe 1 month, for 3 times per week or 5 times per week, for 3 sets per exercise, for 30 to 60 seconds. And after that, like jumping and all the plyometric exercises, which Eero will be showing next, will be like super effective and super comfortable as well. And you will be able to make great gains with this. When you look at like any almost any athletic sport where you're like standing up, let's say soccer, tennis, even like football or basketball, or then if you look at martial arts or MMA where you're standing up, for example like kickboxing or boxing, like a lot of speed and agility, it comes from like when you're on your toes, like so the more you strengthen this ability to be on your toes and to be like very dynamic, very elastic, like the faster and more agile you will be. When you have this support, like ideally you should be as well balanced and as supported on your toes almost as if you were like this. So like ideally you should be able to draw like this and move like this on your toes, like it's like a second nature, like it's not difficult at all. And I'm already like moving towards this, like where it's just my ankles, they just feel so strong that it becomes like natural. It doesn't even feel like there's like strength involved after a while, because the ankles are just like so rock solid and so strong. This dynamic, elastic nature is what is missing from many different, like when I look at like elsewhere, like everyone is training nowadays the tibialis anterior like this, and sometimes with weights as well. And then they do the calf raises with weights or the machines. But what's actually the most important for the athleticism is the dynamic and repetitive nature, like where you're just jumping all the time and from many different positions, and all these plyometric and dynamic movements which Eero will be covering next.
So I wanted to mention a bit more details about this single leg toe stance, because this is an exercise that you don't want to underestimate. So Samuli already showed some this in some of the examples. So you can do this, of course, by holding on a support, but once you go to this where you're actually freestanding and stabilizing on the ball of the foot and on the toes, this becomes like a beast exercise for developing those ankle muscles. This is an exercise that I've already used for many years actually. I've also taught it to some of my coaching clients who've had some ankle issues or who even had issues in their toes, and this has been it can make a really dramatic effect on your ankle muscles because it trains like 360 degrees. This isn't just an exercise for your calf. This, and especially even the soleus muscle, is one of its major functions is stability. So soleus is a stabilizer muscle in the ankle. So this trains the soleus and the gastrocnemius, but it also trains the muscles responsible for the eversion, muscles responsible for the eversion, and even the tibialis part has to stabilize in this exercise to an extent. So the other factor here is just holding even for 10 seconds or 20 seconds in the beginning for most people is a real challenge. This does not come naturally, so you really want to try this yourself and understand just how effective this is. Like it takes very little time for your ankle muscles to start to like scream and really like burn when you're holding this. Regards to the execution, I want to go into more detail because there are of course differences if you want to stay like much more higher up here with a fully like flexed ankle. You can do that, but that is like very, very, very difficult. Can be done. But this exercise is effective even if you're just a tiny bit like an inch off the ground. Like even if I'm just like a little bit, like a centimeter or two off the ground, I'm gonna have to use my toes here. I'm gonna have to use all of those ankle muscles. So just a little bit off the ground, try to be at least 1 minute. Like the goal is to at some point be like 2 minutes. That's a really big challenge for 2 minutes to stay here. And another factor is the balancing. So in the beginning, you're gonna probably notice you're gonna be waving around. You know, you have to try to gain your balance by moving your arms, moving your legs, your core. That is fine. You know, it's a process where you're gradually trying to go more and more, let's say, into the foot. So now I'm starting to find the balance in my toes actually. I'm articulating, I'm pressing with my toes on the ground. I'm utilizing much more the smaller muscles here. Because if I'm doing this way, I am of course activating my ankle, but I'm transferring the stability and the balance partially to my extremities. So as I kind of just like narrow it down, tone it down, now it becomes just micro movements from my ankles, it becomes more effective. But don't worry, like I said, in the beginning you're gonna be weighing around, and that's gonna be fine. But try to, in the end, try to like, what is this, like condense yourself. Try to condense yourself and really put all of that effort into the ankle part, so there will be very, very little movement from the rest of your body. But this is a killer drill. It's a very killer exercise that is easy to underestimate, because when you watch it, you're like, what does it do? You're not even moving, you're not doing calf flexions. Isometrics are one of the best exercises you can do, and it gives a very, very good dramatic strength increase.